you've got to cry, then cry. That's just a part of you. My thing is, if you have a problem with how you're reacting to something, then look into it. Like, you got to self-analyze. You said that you was crying. You said you was crying for the last 30 minutes. It's like, if you got a problem with that, you got to really look at why was you crying, what's making you cry. You got to figure that out, and then you got to tackle that problem. And it's just one thing. It's like one problem at a time. You just tackle that one at a time. But now, again, there is nothing wrong with you crying. If you feel like you're doing what you got to do, you feel like you're doing what you got to do, and every now and again, like, you cry through it, then look, you're human, innit? Like, so you gotta let out the emotion every now and again. What that matters is that you're doing what you gotta do. Now the difference is if you're not doing what you've gotta do, and you're breaking down crying every now and again, there's an underlying issue. You gotta look at what the issue is, and then you gotta just, like, bit by bit break it down, and then start working on it. So it's like, do you have any idea what is making you cry? That's the first question. Do you have any idea what's making you cry? So you do know what's making you upset. Problem is, it always starts with a man. Okay, so if it starts with somebody outside of yourself, there's two things that you can look at, yeah. One is either you can look at the people that you're going to. You're saying that it starts with a man. You gotta look at the men that you're choosing. That's one side. And then the other side is, if it's just men in general, then you just gotta cool off. Like just cool off. Just do you. Focus on you. Because again, like, that's in anything, yeah. It's never the thing outside of you. Like, everything comes back to you at the end of the day. Oh shit, we got a phone call. Talk to me. Waiting for you to say more. Yeah, like what more do you want me to say? Did you register what I just said? I'm just a strong believer, yeah, of all problems that you have kind of lie with you. Cool off isn't much to work with. That's not what I said. Cool off isn't. That's not what I said. I said there's two things. One, if there is a common theme, with your problems, you've got to look into that common theme. And you can't just say, okay, men isn't the common theme. The common theme is the men that you're picking, because not every guy is gonna be doing, those same actions, be acting that same way. It's the guys that you're picking, and it might be the guys, and it might be the way that you communicate with them. But again, now you gotta ask yourself, it's like, why are you continuously chasing that? It's just a lot of self-reflection, basically. It's just like everything, because you can't control what other people do. You can't control how other people act, what other people say, how other people treat you. You can't control that stuff. You can manipulate it in some way, but you can't control it at the end of the day. What you can control is yourself and your own actions and your own thoughts, your own beliefs. So it's always kind of just, oh shit, that truck tried to kill us. Yeah, it's always kind of just look at, like, what can you control within yourself. Oh my god. I'm not going the M way. We find our way to the end way? I think so. I think it's this way. That was interesting. Yeah, so what are your thoughts? There we go, made it on Yamway. Right, this is what we're gonna do, yeah? We're gonna drive. We're gonna drive up north. We're gonna drive up north. And then we're gonna come back. And while we're driving, I'm just gonna use this time to just chill out, just relax. Alright? Ambient. This is now ambient road trip. I don't have control of my thoughts or emotions, so I drown them out with alcohol. That's a choice. You do have control over your thoughts and your emotions because they're your thoughts and emotions. What you gotta do, your thoughts are like they're conditioned, isn't it? Like you gotta change your mindset, like your way of thinking. And the way to change it is the same way you replace a bad habit with a good habit. It's kind of, you got to replace bad thoughts with good thoughts. It's kind of like, it's that whole, it's like outlook. And I'm not gonna lie, the best way, for me, what worked for me was listening to podcasts, reading books. Listening to podcasts, reading books. Like, I know they say all that self-help stuff doesn't work, but trust, it helps you just reframe your mind. Like you're sober for 6 weeks and you're happy with a bottle. Yeah, you're happier because you're temporarily happy. You're just blocking out all of your you're just blocking out all thoughts. It's kind of like just in the clouds. It's not real. You have to come down at some point. One show, yeah, I tell you, one show that I watched when I was at one of my like lowest mental periods, when I was in my like depressive phase, one show I watched was BoJack Horseman. I promise you, that show, it did not help because the main character is like mad. The main character is basically depressed, isn't it? But what it did, but there's bare lessons in it. In hindsight, it's bare weird. It's mad weird. It makes it easier to get out of autopilot when you commit those bad habits. Yeah, listen, look up or just watch BoJack Horseman. Watch BoJack Horseman. While I was watching it, I was like, rah, bro, this is making me mad depressed. But then afterwards, I was like, rah, there's just bare things in it. There's loads of quotes. There's loads of like moments. There's loads of relatable things. There's one quote, yeah, that happened in the show, yeah, and the guy was like, oh, for your brain to come off autopilot. Yeah, the guy was like, yeah, he was like, oh, it gets easier. And he was like, and then BoJack was like, what does? It's like everything gets easier, and it gets easier every single day the more you do it, basically. It's like whatever you're trying to do, everything gets easier each day. So if you're trying to reframe your mind and you're trying to change from like negative thoughts to positive thoughts, you kind of just practice it every single day, and eventually it gets easier with each day. Does that make sense? And that just goes for everything. But your situation where you say that you're happier with alcohol, that's definitely a thing where you're just like running to that to block out whatever thoughts. It's like it's not you, it's not a clear mind. Ryan, question, yeah. So you said that you've reduced how much you smoke. Why why did you reduce how much you smoked in the first place? I want to block out everything. Why do you want to block out everything? I don't want to feel nothing. Damn, this shit getting deep, like. Never change the situation, it just delayed the inevitable bad thoughts. So how do you feel reducing the smoking has helped you, right? By the way, yeah, chat, this is generally what I do when I wanna I wanna chill out my mind. I honestly, this playlist right here, I slap on this playlist and I cool off. Like, I just relax. You're saying because it all hurts? Well, going back to what I said before, is you've got to start filling up your time with things that make you happy. And like, healthily happy. I remember you used to read, like, you used to read a book. Was it, did you try to read, no, you didn't read a book every day, you read every day. You just gotta fill up your time. Yeah, but it doesn't matter about being busy if you're not busy doing what fulfills you. If you're not busy doing what makes you like feel happy inside. If you're busy doing what makes you feel happy like all the time, then it makes it way easier for you to think with a clearer mind. At work, at taekwondo, and wherever. See, those periods where you say wherever crying, I'm guessing those periods right there are the times when you are doing nothing, and then all your thoughts start to come in, and now you get all emotional. So there's two things there. It's one, don't give yourself the chance to have those thoughts, but I don't think that really fixes the problem. I think the problem is those thoughts. Like, you gotta tackle what you're thinking about, why you're thinking like that. Good reviews, man. Good reviews. So don't walk to the bus stop? What do you mean? Oh, you're saying about those are the gaps? Yeah, but if you're walking to the bus stop and you're thinking stuff like what I used to do, I remember when I was okay, I'll tell you, yeah. When I had my first heartbreak. when I had my first heartbreak, yeah, and I felt heartbreak. I felt what heartbreak felt like. I went through a period of I didn't want to think about like all of those emotions and think about my ex. So I started listening to loads of the self-help stuff. That's when I proper started listening to bare self-help. I started listening to Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn helps loads, and it was a thing of, because I don't want to be thinking about all this other stuff, I've got to replace those thoughts basically. But the thing is, you gotta rewire your thoughts to think more positive. So I started to just spend all of the empty time listening to all these podcasts and stuff that are teaching me how to think positive, basically. The problem is the situation will never be resolved and you'll never get answers. So if the situation is outside of yourself, then it comes back to all you can control is you. Like, if you can't control what's going on externally, the most you can do is control how you're reacting to it and what you think about it. Otherwise, you just end up living your whole life just like at the mercy of your circumstances. So you gotta think about like the people that are in mad worse situations. You gotta think about the people that are literally living in, like, think about these that are living in war countries that can't control their circumstances. They're thinking about whether they're gonna die today or not. But at the same time, I'm sure there is a great number of those people who still wake up every day and still communicate, and still, like, they still live, they still smile, they still get on with their life, they're still super grateful. How do you control your action? It's your thought patterns. That's what I'm saying to you. It's your thought patterns. It's your outlook. It's your perspective. It's how you process, like, it's how you process stuff and how you react to it. I'm telling you, I feel like the start for anybody trying to change the way that they think is honesty. To ignore what everybody says about self-help and listen to self-help stuff. Listen to the podcast, read the books, read the how-tos. Like, it's as simple as, I want to think more positive. How to think more, like, you can literally go onto YouTube, how to think more positive. And you start off there, like, you start off there and you just take everything with a pinch of salt, and then you just try to implement things. And then later down the line, things get easier. And then you start to figure out, okay, I need to change this. Make a download audio. Do what you gotta do. I told you, okay, another period. Another period, yeah. There was a period where I didn't have enough money to basically travel to and from work every day. So I had to take the long route, to a point where I was getting a bus. No. To the point, basically, I would get the train to the station that I needed to get off at, and then I would get on another train from that station to a different station that put me, like, further away, because that station had barriers. So then I would then have to walk that journey to work. So it ended up taking me like 2 hours to get to work, yeah. So in those 2 hours, of course, it's a depressing ass period. Like, I'm in a situation where I haven't even got the money to travel to work. Like, it's a depressing ass time. In that period, I listened to so many audiobooks. I'll show you. I've got a drawer, yeah. In fact, look, I'll take out some of these books. I've got a drawer of books that I literally bought. Look, I bought these books. I've never read the physical books. I listened to the audiobooks, and I bought these books because they were that impactful. Boom. What else have I got? Let me show you. Boom. So you can imagine, yeah, 2 hours. You can imagine 2 hours to work, 2 hours from work. The average book is how long's the average book? The average audio book is what, 6 hours. I was getting for a book like every week. I was getting for a book every week. Look, I got bad. I got 4 hour work week. But I was listening to stuff that I felt were important, like, to me and what I was trying to learn. Like I said, I went through that self-help period, the whole mindset period. I went through that when I was like, how old was I? I think I was like 18, 19 when I went through that. This book here changed my life. The Slight Edge. This book here changed my life. Look, I'll read the back to you, yeah? It says, "The slight edge is a way of thinking that enables you to make daily choices that will lead you to the success and happiness you desire. The slight edge makes you aware of the unwritten rules that we all live by and just weren't aware of. Jeff explains these principles in an easy to understand manner that will have you reevaluating those insignificant decisions you make day by day." I was recommended this book, but at the time I had a mentor, like literally a mental health mentor, and my problem was just bad decision making, and it was making me miserable. She said to read this. This was the start of me, like, reading properly. The Slight Edge. What else have I got? What else have I got?
be helpful to you. No, I think that's it. All the other books I've got are business books. But yeah, you just gotta feed your mind. That's literally the game. You just gotta feed your mind. If you're having negative thoughts, you have to replace those thoughts. But you don't know what to replace them with, then you basically just distract yourself with words that are helpful. Like get into your how-to bag. Making poor decisions is your bag apparently. Hey, then look, like I said, get into your how-to bag. Everything is on the internet. How to, literally, whatever you got going on, how to, and then you just work on it. But it's not like you don't do it on like a quick fix kind of thing. On okay, I'm gonna read this book and then I know I'm magically gonna know what to do. It's like no, you read that book, you implement the principles. Read the next book, you implement the principles. You read the next book, you implement the principles, and then what happens is, the more principles that you implement, the more changes you make, the easier it becomes to make more changes. The more your mind gets opened up to just different ways of thinking. The more your perspective grows. That's all it is, man.